Hi, everyone. Sorry, forgive me. My social. You've all heard my preamble, haven't you? The whole, yeah, so I'll not do that. I will merely say that all of these sessions are available on YouTube afterwards. And thank you so much for your support for Accelerate and for what's been a really, really amazing conference as well. I should also say thank you to Tech Team at the back, who have been incredible. These are really good people to work with year on year again. So, to our last speaker, who's going to walk us through the end of the day, but actually with a really, really important subject. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm also glad it's being filmed, because I think the more people see this, the better. But we should all applause as we go forward.
Hi, everyone. Very much a graveyard shift. Thank you for being here. I was asked to speak by the organizer, who said it might be interesting for some of the more technologically focused companies to have a little bit of a chat about that. I wasn't sure about the kind of caliber of companies that are going to be here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a bit about me, and then I'm going to ask you a little bit about you and what might be helpful to you. No pressure. So where did I point? Aha. So let's talk about creating a successful event technology business. To give context, I'm a serial founder, I'm an advisor, I'm a non-exec. I'm the CEO of a company called Happy Ventures, which basically works with founders to build technology businesses. So I've probably been involved in building 50 different startups and businesses over the last 10 years. My first career was, I was an evil banker. I spent 10 years investment banking and private equity. So buying businesses, operationally transforming them, scaling them, fundraising too much money, and hopefully selling them for more than we bought them for. So I can talk a lot about all the different things to do with either creating a business from the idea stage, scaling it, getting customers, transforming it, selling, fundraising. So what I'd love to ask is, how does this work? Point? There you go. Technology, Phil. What I'd love to ask, if you don't mind, it'd be great to hear what you might find useful. If I can start with you, what might you find useful with your business?
So, because we work with crypto clients, which are not really online,
Yeah.
they're very discreet. It's the customer acquisition and the customer retention.
Customer acquisition, customer retention. Good question. We've got some stuff on that. What about you?
Not actually in event tech, but I think it sounds interesting, so I'm here to hear.
We can talk about creating an event tech business. There you go. What about you?
I run an event company, but I'm also in VR and AR.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to work out what to do with the VR thing and eventually get into sales.
Love that. Can I pick on you next? Oh.
Clients, please. Thank you. Some clients?
Clients, yeah. Startups don't fail because they didn't build a product. They fail because they couldn't sell to customers. How about you?
Three things: fundraising, fundraising, fundraising.
Fundraising. Okay.
Mainly the events platforms that are where you can integrate a lot of different bits and pieces. So,
Yeah.
you know, like something for the members where you can link intuitively, but in one nice overview, like all of the SharePoints, Teams, all of the other chat functions and stuff
Not
like
the
that. and the
Microsoft
overviews.
stack. Ah. Okay, so integrations, play nicely with other people. Cool. Yeah, we can do that. This is what a typical startup journey looks like. And I'd love to reframe the word startup, especially in the current microeconomic environment. It's about businesses. A startup is trying to find a product market fit. They're trying to find a way to sell. They're trying to become a business. I like to think from the start, this may be my investment banking background, but the fundamentals, how do we make money? How do we make successful business? But a typical journey you might see is you start with an idea, a lovely idea. You're going to refine it. If you're any good at this, you're going to think about prototyping and testing. Talk to the customers before you build it. What you tend to see, though, is, and this is true for existing businesses looking to innovate, doing business cases, you're going to see people really focusing on the business model, financial planning. The worst I've seen at idea stage is a 52-page business plan. Yeah. What do I think? Like, it doesn't matter. That business went nowhere. And then what you tend to see is people will build the MVP, minimum viable product. If you know the word viable in English, it's going to barely survive when it's launched. It's a terrible thing to do. They'll fail to sell it because they won't have achieved product market fit. So they go and raise some investment to build version 2, hopefully get product market fit, a channel to sell through and a model. I'll go through some of that after. And then scale, and everything's beautiful. So I'm going to take it back a little bit to basics, but all of that should be relevant to the different conversations, and we will get to fundraising at the end. Tactic one, I was presenting this sketching crazily to portfolio companies of a VC, big London VC. I was asked to go and talk to them about this. And it sounds crazy because everybody can do this. But the idea is too many people build technology and features and whatnot without understanding what's needed because they're scared to really think about what is truly needed. The one on the left, this is a calendar, amazing. It's from a company called Basecamp. Have you heard of Basecamp? Huge billion-dollar company business. Basecamp are huge advocates of this strategy, which is if you get customer ideas, feedback, problems, pain points, don't just build it, discuss it. So they kept getting requests for a calendar. And they were like, we don't want to build a calendar. A calendar is probably 6 months to build. There's a lot of dependencies. It's actually quite complicated to do it well. It's like we don't have the appetite as a business to do that. So they thought, let's go and ask people what they mean by a calendar. So they sketched it, had some conversations, and realized actually it was a scheduling tool people wanted. When am I free to do something? Just put a project in. That's a couple of weeks worth of work. So small point, but it really exemplifies whatever idea you have, you start with this, sketch it out, and move towards conversations. So this is something I've implemented in my business. We implemented in Louis Vuitton. They have an acceleration innovation program, an insurance company. And really, all it means is any organizations here should ideally be doing this, which is agile innovation, as I like to call it. It means as a business, everybody, or all the different types of roles, it's not just the developer or the product people, should ideally once a month, for half a day to a day, get together, sit down, and talk about what ideas do they have, what pain points do they have, what are feature requests, or new ideas they may want to create within the business, and discuss it. So you start off by planning what you want to achieve that day. You do a workshop as a team. Crazily, you sketch it. But this is a kicker. This is the absolutely critical bit. You test it. And this is actually where most businesses fail to get anywhere. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the testing side. So as a third tactic, I see, as I said, I've been involved like 50 plus businesses. The people who are ready to go and talk to customers with a sketch are the people who will succeed at getting product market fit and selling, because you'll build the right thing. So what I'd like to do is just reframe for some people what testing means. It shouldn't be scary. If you know that, and there's some studies to support this, 5 people, if you speak to 5 people about an idea, you'll get 80% of the feedback you would have gotten from building the idea and launching it to 1,000 people. 80% of that feedback. You just turn up with a sketch, you have a conversation, you get 80% of the feedback. So if you do that, you learn from what they said, you iterate that prototype, that sketch, your thinking, your assumptions, you get another 80% of the feedback. So it means that whatever assumption you had about a product, a feature, an idea, a business, you're going to know and you're going to validate that assumption very quickly. Does that make sense? Yeah? Nobody does this, pretty much. It's absolutely astonishing. I did this exercise with another VC firm, and I made people sketch, go into the street and speak to 5 people about a feature they're thinking about. Mind blown away, but by the impact it had. That was very mean, I realized. There's 2 ways of testing. Qualitative, if you like speaking with people, and quantitative, if you don't like speaking with people. Some people are introverted, like myself. They don't love speaking to lots of people. So qualitative can be in person or video call. And what I recommend you do, see the little sketches we did? You can stick them in a tool like Marvel Pop Prototype or Figma, and you can create hotspots on it. So effectively, I could show it on my phone and go, this is what I'm thinking about doing with this app. My beautiful sketch, press here, it's just hotspots. So the person you're talking to, you're showing them visually. It transformed that communication from, imagine it could do this, to let me show you, this is how it works. Who do you talk to? Well, you talk to people in the streets, friends, co-workers, your network. It's fine. But you have to get yourself into that mentality of speaking with people, because this is critical. The second one, I'm calling it quantitative, but it doesn't need to be. It's more if you don't want to talk to people. Do you guys know Loom? Have you heard of Loom and Video Ask? Okay, great tools I recommend you look at. Loom is something where you can record your screen and do a voiceover. It's done in browser. It's instantaneous. So you could present your product on that. It's recorded, and then you send the link to somebody. They can add comments in it. It's just very nicely done. You know if they've seen it. You can see that comments. Very nice. Video Ask is like an asynchronous interview for somebody. So you start and go, hey, yeah, I'm so-and-so. I'm looking to talk about this. First question, tell me about that. And the person has to respond with video. Fascinating what you get back. So it's instant feedback. If you take both of these tools and you stick it to your network and you say, I need 5 people to give me some feedback, that's great. If you're not confident in doing that, here's some tricks few people know about. Google Survey 360 and SurveyMonkey have got an audience feature where they have a panel of tens, if not hundred thousands of people. And for 10 cents per response, you can get feedback from people. So you don't even need to talk to them. You can just send them this to that. You have no excuses for not doing it. If you want to tailor the audience, so I was doing a project with Canon a while ago. We used something called Userlytics. They wanted advanced camera users. So not just like you have a camera, but you've got a DSLR camera, you take nature-type photography, etc. Using some of these tools, you can qualify the response, the person who will respond. So you can literally get the target audience you want. And it might cost you £50 per responses. But just bearing in mind, 5 people give you 80% of the feedback. 250 quid is, I think, a pretty good budget to get a lot of learnings and shortcut issues. I'm a designer, as you can tell. I did this slide. This is pre-selling. So to your question about customers at the back, this is what I see, again, from doing this for 10 years. I see everybody here. This is you, your business, your product. You're building your product. If you're good, you will talk to the people here. This is a highway of clients. It's a motorway. All the clients in the world that you want are there. If you're any good, you might go and talk to them. But what people tend to do is they'll keep building, and then they'll finish building. No, they go, hang on, just one more feature. Keep building. Then they'll go, ta-da! We've finished. We've launched. Nobody cares. Tumbleweeds. Because they've never heard of you. So you flip from being a product business to being a sales and marketing business. Depending on some businesses, they've got a sales and marketing team, etc., and that's lovely. But a lot of the early startups, and I've seen 3 or 4 businesses here, they're a handful of people, mostly developers, and they're here trying to find customers. It's going to be great, we get some customers. What I'd say is, don't do this exercise. So the red circle, A, trying to launch, trying to do your Facebook ads, your enterprise sales, or whatever else. No. I've done this twice, and the one business I've managed to sell thus far, there'll be more. We did this strategy 100%. This is what I call a gatekeeper. It's somebody that's already got access to a lot of customers because they sell to them. They do something a little bit different to you, but relevant because they're talking to your audience. Go and strike a strategic partnership with them. I know that sounds silly, but so many people don't do it. Ideally at idea stage. So the one I sold, health and safety business, we heard about an issue from an insurance company, an employee of them. We went to have a chat with them. We sketched some thoughts. Do you mean this? Does that make sense? They went, oh, look, we've got thousands of hospitality businesses with this issue. Do you want to speak to some of them? So we went to speak to some of them with the sketches, going, well, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think? They went, that's brilliant. So we designed the product with them and struck a partnership. And it was the key person we ended up with had 100 Burger Kings, and he was willing to pay £100 per month per Burger King. So I was like, okay, that's 10 grand a month, already pre-sold. That's decent, that's a start. It sounds very silly, but so few people do this. So I guess what I ask you to think about is who's got that multiplier effect for your business? Who's got that leverage? Who's got that audience? It could be another another business, forget the word startup, another business already selling something slightly different that you can partner with. It could be an association. It could be, in our case, an insurance company, bizarrely, they're trying to innovate and connect people. So I'd encourage you to think about that from a selling perspective to your question, what you can do with that. Because everybody loves doing events like this, but it'd be nice if you didn't have to, because your customers are already there. Oh, and the other business that did that, I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to say it. But there's another one that's done very well. Pre-sold $250,000 by doing this strategy before even building it. So it does genuinely work. Right, this is from a chap called Brian Balfour, who's very senior at HubSpot, if you've heard of HubSpot, yep. And so I'm not taking credit for his clever thoughts, this is his. What everybody talks about is product market fit. What I'd like to say is if you just have product market fit, you're going to be pushing a boulder up the hill. If you get product market channel model fit, and ideally the fifth one few people talk about, which is founder fit, you're the right founder, you're going to be running down that hill chasing the ball, because it just rolls. It generally does. There's an inflection point, and it makes a lot of sense. So what does that mean? It starts with the market. It doesn't start with the product. The market is telling you what the problem is that there is. Your solution is the product that's meeting the market's need. Again, pretty basic, but it's amazing how little people think of that. They think about their product first, and then they try and find a problem in the market. Don't do that. Find the problem, retrofit a technology solution. Now that's fine, but then you need a channel to sell it through. And so channel could be, you have a lovely Facebook advert that leads to a landing page, and you've got an email capture form that takes you into an email sequence, that takes you to an automated webinar. Yeah, that's a channel. Or you've got enterprise sales, you buy a list and you make phone calls. But what I'd say is the channel you sell through needs to match the product. What that means is if you have a super easy self-service solution that you can do a free trial with, you can do a beautiful funnel. Not touch the customer, you optimize it, and just sell. It's £10 a month, fine, do that. If you've got something that needs to be set up by a human being, which a lot of the things does, that doesn't work. They need to have a conversation with people, so the enterprise sales might be better. And this also links to the model. The model is the pricing. So is it like a $29.99 per month? Is it £1,000 a month? Is it a £10,000 per event? What do you have? You need to match the product in terms of the value that you're creating. You need to match the fact that the market can afford this. The way you're selling matches the model. A client of ours had this lovely LinkedIn for lawyers / merger and acquisition tool. And he wanted to sell it for $29.99 per month. And he's doing enterprise sales. So bought a list, and he had somebody phone up. Now, by the time the salesperson picked up the phone, that was probably 30 quid gone. By the time he closed one deal, that was over a year's return on, usually 2 years worth of return on investment. So that didn't work. So what we did with them is we changed the price point by increasing the perceived value from 29 to more, but also added a new product, which was £1,000 a month. Additional technology cost, but it actually made sense and able to sell more things. Does that make sense? Kind of. Yes. Good. Can come back. Funding. Now, there may be more specific questions. As I said, this is quite general. I can bore to tears about many topics, and I'm happy to do so in the questions. But what I thought might be useful for some people is, look, this is, from my experience, the truth about what you see. So this is a stage businesses can be at. Idea stage, product, early customers, some traction, but no repeatable channel. I keep banging on about channels, but it's critical. Do you have one channel that works consistently to deliver clients? If you don't, you really need that. You have one channel that works, you want multiple channels, proper business. The kind of revenue, so MRR means monthly recurring revenue. Investors love recurring revenue, but if you just annualize it, it's fine. Those are just guesstimates. The types of people who will fund you, and the stage. People keep talking about, is this seed stage, Series A? This is roughly as I understand it. The ones in red, though, are the hardest stages to fundraise. Because investors, it's all about risk. If you can de-risk a concept, they're interested. There's no genuinely early stage VC investor. I don't care what they say. I still haven't met one. We're early stage. Okay, have you got customers? 10 grand monthly recurring revenue? Are you crushing it with a great team? That's not early stage. It's down here. The oranges are interesting. And that's really when you start to get a bit of traction. And this is actually one that, this is also very tricky to fundraise. But as soon as you've nailed product, market, channel, model, it's actually a lot easier to raise investment from VCs, private equity, and family offices, which are often ignored. But they're really useful investors to think about because they have often less of a committee, less of a structure, less of a, we only invest in this. It tends to be more relationship and emotionally driven. I like this, I'm interested. I'm in. And the ticket sizes for family offices can be quite large. Yeah, £500,000, £1 million easily. It's a question of how you reach them. And I don't know if that was your question around fundraising, but there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of people out there looking to fundraise. What I'd say is if you do brilliant basics of getting your product right, having your channels nailed, revenue model, you can show you've done the right steps. Even show them you've got this agile innovation mentality. You're working closely with your partners. Because when you do have this conversation with investors, that's the kind of thing they want to hear. Yeah, you're not a one-trick pony. You've got many, many thoughts. And something I do recommend, because I can prepare people for investment, having done that a lot, but what I tend to recommend is it makes sense to use fundraisers to reach the right kind of audience. So you would pay commission to a salesperson, right? You might not want to employ them, or you just want to pay commission. A fundraiser is the same thing. Pay commission to somebody whose job and expertise is to have a great network of family offices and VCs, because it transforms the game from it's a lot of work and you're trying to focus on sales, you're trying to focus on optimizing your operations and your product. Find some good fundraisers. Some will try and charge you a monthly retainer. That's fine, depending on who they are. I'd ideally prefer to suggest try and get some people on success rate only. Those people will say no to you if you haven't nailed everything else, okay? They'll try and make sure you're at the right stage. But you'll pay between 4 and 7%, and it's worth it. Because if you don't, it can take an awful long time, or you need a specialist in your business. And I love this device. I'm actually going to say that's it. There you go. Do you have any questions? Family offices are basically, I'm working with one at the moment as a consultant. It's a very, very rich person who's got way too much money, and they need somebody to invest it, because just putting in the bank's going to be good enough. And they want to play with it a little bit. So they'll go, I'm interested in ESG, so environmental, social, governance type businesses. So I'll put 50 million aside here to invest over the next 5 years. So it's literally a little bit of their plaything. And they have a whole structure of people who work for them to invest their money on their behalf.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Regarding the fundraising issue, I asked before, you just confirmed what we thought we had in mind to invest in a fundraiser who can do that for us. But I will go at the testing you suggested before. Yesterday at some presentation we show a very nice comic strip, 5 identical looking persons inside the room discussing why nothing happens here, nothing new happens here. You said we go to our co-workers. Is it possible that that's not what we're looking for actually, because we have the same mentality, we think the same way? Maybe we go out, we go at the streets, maybe this works better. Thank you.
I think it's a great question. And it's funny because so many people just refuse to do it. So is that what's the path of least resistance? That's going to get you at least an answer. Put yourself in, dear coworker, put yourself in the shoes of our audience. How might you feel if you're this kind of persona? But the best thing to do is to actually go and speak to some of your customers, to do some of these customer interviews. Again, I always think like if you're not going to do anything, okay, but let's go one up and do that. Ideal world is just customers. And I have used many times this idea of buying an audience. So Userlytics is a really good one for that, more premium. But what you get is like the person's on video going through the task you've set them, and you can see their face. So you can literally see what they're working on and their face. Just that, you learn so much. And you know they're your audience. They literally have to go through a qualification, very detailed qualification set of questions. They're being paid money, yes, but they are your audience. And you learn so much by seeing that interaction.
Fantastic. Is there any more questions?
Thank you very much. My details are at the bottom if you have any questions in the future offline.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And we should give a ripple of applause. Patrice, thank you so much. And that concludes our... Really concludes... Kill me right off. Have a safe journey home, everyone. Remember, everything's available on demand. Take care.